Okay, Second Amendment. Second Amendment is self-explanatory. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to come across as one of these crazy, read the amendment, shove it down your throat. The Supreme Court has ruled it's every individual's right. As the Founding Fathers meant it to be, it's an individual right. Now, you want to go into bullet stamping. Well, let's use ballistics as an example. You do ballistics, they markings on the barrel, they find a bullet, they have to have a suspicion of who was at the scene, and then prove that they have a gun to get a subpoena to get the gun to prove that gun fired it. That's what the Fourth and Sixth Amendment guarantee. Excuse me. Now, you can even look at DNA. DNA at a scene. FBI and cops love DNA at a scene. But the court has ruled you have to have something to compare it to. You can't randomly pick people up and do DNA searches to find out who did your crime. You have to be able to prove a person's in the area, they had a reason to do it, then you can get a subpoena to get their DNA. Well, bullet stamping steps all over both these amendments and those rules. You want to be able to say, my gun fired a bullet because you found the bullet and I'm guilty. When one of my kids, and I got grown kids, I'm not talking small ones, or neighbor or friend come over, get my gun, shoot someone, put it back. And that's happened many times in America. Somebody's took a gun, killed someone, and put it back to make it look like somebody else is guilty. Bullet stamping is just stupid. You know, for years people said ballistics was great. Well, the reason police departments want bullet stamping is because ballistics can change now. Barrels on guns can be changed extremely fast. On all mine, on a couple of mine, you can do it in a matter of seconds. And new barrels are cheap, $40. Changes the ballistics. Then they said it was clip marks. Well, clips are 10, 12 bucks. You just get a different clip. Then it was the way the bullet slides against the chamber when it's going in. Well, people found out if I sand that down real fine with some oil sandpaper stuff, it doesn't affect my gun, and it changes that every time after I shoot it. Anything you do to a gun to make it traceable can be changed by the simple nature guns are not one-piece items. They are small pieces put together. Bullet stamping imprints a mark on the cartridge when the firing pin hits it. Well, firing pins are easier to change in some guns than a barrel is. And it's a small piece. You can't force anyone to force an issue of knowing what gun fired what bullet before you have the gun in your hand is never going to work. Just isn't. What about all the, what they say, 400 million guns that's out prior to bullet stamping? And marking bullets. Well, to mark a bullet that comes out of the gun, as I said, there's striations in the barrel that are going to change that bullet. When that bullet hits something, it's going to collapse, change everything else. So marking on the bullet itself is going to accomplish nothing. In the cartridge, marking the cartridge, well, a lot of people can pick the cartridge up. They make cartridge catchers you can put on the side of a gun that'll catch your cartridges. And revolvers, they don't discharge the cartridge, so what good does that do? You just got to keep in mind, we as a nation have a right to have guns. I have mine. I carry it everywhere I go. Not in the big, bad, dangerous city. Not when I'm leaving town. Everywhere I go. I go to Dairy Queen, my gun's on me. Dairy Queen manager's happy to see me there on a Friday night. He says, I keep the kids calmer having the gun. I go to the grocery store, I have the gun. My grocery store in town, the same chain of stores was robbed in Akron by a man with a gun. Come in to rob the place and nobody was there. If I'd have been there, it'd have been a different story. You got to understand, you can't make the world safer by getting rid of guns. People compare drunk drivers. Well, if you take driver's license away from drunk drivers, does that stop them from driving? Does it stop people from having ball bats? Does it stop people from having knives? You can't register it. If somebody wants to do someone else harm, they will figure out a way. You get your people to say, well, a gun makes it easier, they can react. Ask the 14 people in Boston a year and a half ago at the bus stop that died because one woman was mad at a guy and run him over and killed the rest of them. She reacted. They'd been fighting for a week. Plenty of time. Personally, as bad as it sounds, wouldn't it have been better for the other 13 people if she'd have just shot him? At least they'd be alive, instead of run over and dead because she was trying to run him over. You gotta learn, this is not a safe world. There's no way, shape, or form is this the safe, calm world that liberals want to tell you it is. The world is violent. It's a violent place. Violence came here in 2001. It came here again in Oklahoma City. We just got to quit with this. It's a safe place. We teach our kids, don't hit, don't fight. So when a bully does come along, the kids are scared to death. I mean, you used a kid out in California back in, what was it, 91, 92? The two boys beat him up. One took his tennis shoes, threw him in a locker. The other kid beat him up, took his jacket. He went over to a neighbor's house, not his house because his dad was anti-gun, went over to the neighbor's house, got a gun, come back and shot both of them. Now, if this kid would have been taught to fight back, stand your ground. The first kid might have took his tennis shoes, but he'd have fought back. Maybe that second kid would have said, well, he's going to fight back, I ain't going to bother him. And they'd both be alive and the kid wouldn't be in jail. We just got to get in the real world. It's a violent place. Boys need to learn to fight and hit. They need to lose a fight to teach them there's somebody bigger than them. They need to win one to teach them that they can be big and bad. And all guns do is level the playing field for the bad guy. He has all the advantages until the private citizen has a gun and the playing field is level. And bullet stamping, it ain't going to do a damn thing but make the cost of stuff go up. And that's one big reason is what's wrong with this country. We do all the EPAs, destroy businesses to save the environment. Great. 4-degree temperature change in the 20 years the EPA's been working on it. Did that do any good? The pollution level ain't changed 18 decimals except in large cities around the country. So, trying to stop something before it happens never works.